I'm Melanie Johnson along with my co-host Jen Foster. We are both 13-time best-selling authors. We've published over 2,500 books and made all of our authors #1 bestsellers. We own Elite Online Publishing. If you want to become a best-selling author, look us up at eliteonlinepublishing.com. Now, welcome to the podcast that shares secrets from top industry experts that show you how to get lasting success and results. This is the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hi, this is Melanie Johnson along with Jen Foster from Elite Online Publishing for your awesome podcast today. So we are here with an expert on how to make your business into 6 figures. Everyone wants to know how to do that, right? If you're starting from scratch, everybody's pivoting these days. How do I start from the beginning? I don't have an audience. How do I build an audience? So we have an expert, Luisa's Zhou, with us today, who's going to tell us how we can build that audience. Luisa, thanks for coming today.
Thanks so much for having me here.
Well, tell us, Luisa, kind of how you got into this industry and how you have helped these people.
Yeah, my gosh. So the super condensed version is that a few years ago, I think about 6 years ago, I was in a corporate job and I was working on digital advertising. And at that time, I'd played with a few different online business ideas and learned some stuff, made some money, and realized that through the process of doing all of that, that people actually wanted to learn about running ads. And so I actually just stumbled upon some Facebook groups. I went in there, was talking to people, saw people asking about exactly what I did in my job. And I messaged people. I said, hey, you know what? I'm new. I have nothing to sell. I'm just trying to figure out if this could even be a business. And I'm happy to answer all your questions because I do this in my job. And all I ask in return is a few minutes of your time. And I'm going to ask you some market research questions. And so I spoke to a few people that way. And what happened was one woman in particular started asking me for more follow-up questions. And I just answered them via email in great detail for over 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, she emails me and she says, hey, you have given me so much help for free. I know I can get even more if I work with you. So how can I hire you? And I actually had to say, oh my God, that's amazing. Please give me a week to figure out what I can charge and what I'm supposed to do that's fair to both of us. So I did that. A week later, got on this call. It was basically a sales call. It was so bad. I had no idea what I was doing. But thankfully, she already knew I knew my stuff. And she said, yeah, I'm in. I was already in at the beginning of the call. And so through doing that, I just continued doing the same thing, talking to people, really when they wanted to get my help, hiring me, working with them. And I built up a 6-figure business on the side that allowed me to leave my job. And after I'd done that, people started asking me, Lisa, how'd you do it? How'd you do it before you left your job? How did you manage to juggle both? And can you tell me how you did it? And I said yes. And basically that grew into my current business where I help people do exactly that.
All right. So that leads me right into the question, how do you do that? Because so many people are like either right now people have lost the job that they had or they got laid off. I know people who got laid off even before the coronavirus happened. And then there's other people knowing that they need to make a transition. So walk us through that.
Yeah. Okay. So I love going for the lowest hanging fruit. And what I mean by that is first your skills. What business can you do, right? What I always say is you already have some skill or knowledge from your job or your life that you can use to help others with. Really common ones are like career coaching, where you've got your career experience, you can help others with that. Or maybe, for example, health coaching, where maybe you've lost a lot of weight yourself and now you can help others. Just 2 common examples to show you it doesn't have to be anything crazy or different, right? You don't need to invent the next Facebook. And so you find out what you can do that you can monetize, and everyone has at least one skill. And then the next thing is to just use the right business model. And what I mean by that is to start with offering a service, because you can get out there, you can start selling that literally today. You don't need to create a product. You don't need to figure out how do I package it and price it, all of that. No, especially if you need to be making some sales. Do that. And what that also allows you to do is 2 other things. First, it allows you to price yourself at a premium because you're literally sitting down and helping someone do something together. It's going to be a lot more valuable than, for example, a course or a digital product alone. And with that, you're able to increase your revenue and get revenue and profit faster. And also through doing that, you help your clients get better results. which allows you to have better testimonials and more word of mouth referrals and grow your business faster. So it just creates a win-win. And what you want to do is basically just get started figuring out, okay, where can I go? Like for me, it was Facebook groups, right? For some people, it's maybe their LinkedIn network. For other people, it's specific industry forums. Where can I go to get in front of people to let them know, hey, this is what I do. This is what I can help you with. If you want my help with this, let me give you a free 20-minute, 30-minute session to start to kind of give you an idea of how I can help you, right? Give some really great value. And if you want to learn more about how I can work with you further, we'll talk about that too. Really like just focusing on that instead of a fancy website or any of the things that people think they need before they can get started, to really get out there and start making some sales first.
Yeah, I love that you said, you know, you're just giving that free value first. Like your first example of your first client, you know, you were emailing her over weeks and weeks. It wasn't just like you jumped on a Facebook group and said, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, right? You've got to do it just like you did it, or else it won't be successful. So I love that you shared that example of giving value and actually giving a 20-minute free session or whatever time you want to give.
Yeah, I thank you for pointing that out. It's so important. Like I shared, you know, I literally had no idea what I could even sell. I was just thinking, let me talk to people. Something will come up, because the truth is people want to pay for help, right? You just got to show and build that trust that you can help them.
Yeah.
So talk about building the audience. So you've gone in, you've connected with people, but how do you grow an audience from 5 people to 10,000 people or so?
Yes. Okay. So my advice, so my background is in engineering. So I'm very much like, okay, one thing at a time, let's be systematic. And that's the way I've always done it. And I've helped my clients do it, which is focus on one channel, the best channel for you, given your resources and your industry, and master that first. So for a lot of people, actually, it is still to this day Facebook groups. Because what I mean by channel is go to a place where your people are already gathered, right? So it's not your website where you have no traffic. Figure out where they are and then start connecting with them. So for example, what I did, I went to Facebook groups with small business owners, and I started doing what we talked about, sharing value, answering questions. Something else I did that was really important was I connected with gatekeepers. So in this case, it's the admins of the Facebook groups. And I said, hey, you know, I'm not competing with you because they would be doing something that was completely complimentary to me. I'd love to give this free training to your audience that we can do together. And if it feels like a fit, I'm happy to share more with people who are more interested in hearing about more. And it felt amazing to those gatekeepers because they were like, oh yeah, I get to provide free value to my people. They're going to appreciate me more, and it doesn't compete with what I do. And so it's just a win-win all around. And so you can take that version for literally any traffic source. So, you know, a great example is us talking on this podcast, right? If you have something to share with podcast hosts, and then go out there and let those hosts know, and then share it with their audience. You can do the same thing with other Facebook groups. You can do the same thing with publications. I mean, really any version that you can think of, there's some equivalent. And so I really doubled down on that. And in fact, for my first 6 figures in my digital advertising consulting, that's really what I doubled down on. I just tested. I mean, there are so many groups out there, so you are going to get some duds. Each one I just went through and said, okay, let me see if this is the right fit. If so, how can I start giving value? How can I actually show the gatekeeper that I'm here to not just pitch and leave, but to actually be a part of this community? And I just did that every single day for months, and that made a massive difference. Those, I would say, to be honest, for most people, that's the best way to get started and to get traction quickly. Because a lot of other traffic sources, yes, you can use them down the road, but they take time to build up. Like if you're blogging, right? It takes time to build that search traffic. If you're running Facebook ads, you have to know your audience. You have to have something that you can monetize, and it's not something you want to start with. And so that really is often the lowest hanging fruit.
I love that. I love it. And I think your simple approach is the way that people need to do it. So it's not like reinventing the wheel. It's just doing what already works, and people know that it works.
Exactly. I think we tend to overcomplicate it because we might think, oh, is that it really? Right? The harder thing is actually to follow a simple plan and then follow it until you see it through.
Yeah.
So how often do you think you have to interact with the groups? Is it something you have to do daily? Can you just do it one time a week? Or what is the program for that?
Yeah. So what I recommend doing is actually doing it daily. And what I did, super simple, I just put it on my calendar every single day, at this time, even if it's just for 15 minutes. So when I was in my job, it was either before I went to work or during my lunch break or after work, just blocked out 15 minutes to go into the group, search for questions that I could answer. So I would search for terms like ads, Facebook, cost per lead, stuff like that, and just answer them. And depending on the vibe, the energy of the group. So if people are posting every day, then you can post every day. If people are only posting once a week, then you want to respect that and not be the person who's coming in and posting all the time. So that part is up to the group specifically. But I would post as often as was respectful to the group and the owner of the group, because think about how quickly social media posts disappear, right? So if you post something one week and you're not back until 2 weeks later, no one's gonna remember you.
True. Very true. And then do you have to be in multiple groups, or do you think, like you say, you got to find out if it's not a dud? And are you saying just be in one and just maximize that one group, or should you try and find several groups and maximize all of those?
Yeah. So I truly believe it's one of those things where you get you get out what you put in. So for some people, if you find one really great group, double down and nurture it and really be engaged in it. Because I remember in the beginning, there was only one group I found right away that was a really good fit for me. So I showed up in there more than anywhere else. But that being said, I continued testing other groups until I found quite a few more, so that I got to this point where I had about 5 groups that were really amazing, that were a really great compliment to what I did. And I showed up in all 5 of them every day. Now, I didn't necessarily post in all 5 of them every day. That would have been just so much, but I did talk to people and answer questions and post in all of them in some way, shape, or form every day.
So it's really about bringing that value and having engagement with and listening to what people are saying in the groups. It's not just about posting on commenting on every single post and being crazy about it.
An important point, because exactly, because really, when you think about why people go on to social media, or really anywhere, right? Listen to a podcast, read an article, they're not doing it to be sold to. They're wanting to learn, to connect, to be entertained, to have fun, all of those things. And yes, people want to buy and get help, but if only when it feels right. And so what you have to know is, okay, what do I need to share that's going to do that? That's going to feel good to me and to my potential clients. And honestly, that leads to way more sales anyways.
Yeah. So how do you get the people to transition from the group? You're giving people value, you're having communication with them, but how do you get them to move on to your list?
Yeah.
Of customers?
Yeah. Okay. So there are quite a few ways, and it depends on what you're doing. So I'll just go through the most common ways. If you're doing some sort of joint training with the gatekeeper of the group, you can ask for permission and say, hey, at the end of the training, I'd love to share this great, for example, PDF I have that people can get by, going to this page and signing up for it. Can I share it? And most of the time people are going to say yes. And so really simple. Even if they say no, then you can ask, okay, then would it be okay if I invite people just to message me if they have more questions? And so what happens is that actually leads to really great conversations. So you can say, hey, tell me more, engage in that conversation, learn more about this person and what they're struggling with. And if it's a fit, either add them to your email list by saying, hey, I've got this great PDF, you can get it here, or inviting them directly to schedule a sales call with you. Hey, would you like to talk about how I can hire you more? It sounds like you're really interested. And so both, one leads to building your audience, the other leads to a direct sale. Both are really valuable. Another thing that you can do if the group allows for it. So again, this is about respecting the group, but a lot of groups will say, hey, on certain days or on certain threads, or if you're giving enough value, you can share something that you have to offer. So what I would do is I would share a free session. Hey, I've got this free 20-minute session. I'm going to help you do A, B, and C, right? So for me, I might have said in the past, like, I'm going to look over your ads and do a quick Facebook ads audit for you within 20 minutes. That's good. Something that is like really tangible and quick that still gives value, so that someone can know, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. If I want more, how can I do it? You can do that for the free session if you want to focus more on getting sales right away. You can do that for your PDF as well if you want to build your audience. And so really it comes down to the simple thing. Those are the most common tactics to do it. But the strategy is you get in front of people, your potential ideal clients, and then you get their attention and their trust, and then you share something whether it's a PDF or something else that brings them back to your audience, and that you repeat. And that really is how you grow it.
Do you have a preference between Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups?
Oh, yes. So I definitely prefer Facebook groups. I just feel like LinkedIn is really great for posting to your own network and growing that way, especially, for example, if you're a career coach. But Facebook groups I've seen are just so much more engaged.
Good to know.
A lot more comments and questions
on
Facebook. Mm-hmm. What about Instagram? Have you ever tried Instagram?
Yes, I do love Instagram, but the thing with Instagram is it's harder to find quote unquote groups, you know? So what you have to do is you have to grow your own account, and that takes a lot longer than going to a place where there already are your people gathering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, we
it's
love
just piggybacking on other people's groups, right?
Yeah, it is. But again, like it really is, it's, you know, there's rising tide lifts all boats, right? As long as you make sure you are respectful of that group and the owner, and you show, hey, I'm not here to compete with you or poach on the work you've already done. I'm really here to create a win-win situation. That is, I mean, honestly, I've seen time and time again, that makes such a big difference, because the group owners do want to help you. They just want to make sure that you know, you're not poaching on all their hard work.
Yeah. So how do you find time if you are working another job to transition? How do you make sure that you can be in these groups and be interactive and run your day job and trying to balance, you know, getting someone up to leave?
Yeah. Okay. So there are two things that I did, and I always recommend. First is to do the least amount possible. So that's why today, like, we haven't talked about setting up a gorgeous website or a funnel or all of that. There's absolutely a time and place for that, but not in the beginning when you have a job and you're trying to start a business. You only focus on a few things that actually make a difference. So for me, literally, all I did in the beginning was be in these groups and talk to people. And as I got clients, of course, deliver what I needed to for my clients. Now, that's the first thing. So ruthlessly prioritizing just a few things. And the things are what I would call sales activities, right? Is something going to potentially lead to a direct sale? If not, like making your website prettier, writing an email to your non-existent email list, no, cross it off until later. The second thing is making sure that you don't allow yourself to overthink. So there have definitely been times, especially when I was starting out, when I would sit down to write a post and an hour later I'd be like, what? Didn't say anything and I'm still here, right? So what I actually did was I would time myself and say, okay, 15 minutes. I would do actually 3 blocks of 15 minutes throughout the day. So maybe in the morning, I would sit down and share one tip, and it would just be a quick tip. I wouldn't let myself overthink it. Then the other 15 minutes, I would make sure I didn't waste any time or get distracted just surfing. I would say, okay, I'm going to go into this group. I'm going to look at what people commented on my previous post. I'm going to look for questions that I can answer, and then I'm out 15 minutes at a time. And so when you break it into 3 blocks of 15 or 2 blocks of 10, whatever you can do, it becomes a lot more doable. You force yourself to be more efficient. And honestly, that's all you really need anyways. You don't need to be, you know, spending 3 hours a day on social media.
You gave us tons of great information. Yeah. Oh my gosh, anyone can get started with what you just said. I think this is one of those podcasts you have to listen to more than once. So to get it all and take notes, and you might have to pause it and then write down what she said and then start again and rewind it so you get all the information. And this sounds like anybody could do this. Thanks so much for being on today.
My gosh, thank you so much for having me. I love how much we covered.
Yeah. Well, can you tell us where people can go to find you and to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got, first of all, a great PDF to help anyone who wants to get started with mapping out their own 6-figure coaching business. It's a great workbook. And you can get it by going to my website, which I'm going to spell out because it's not spelled how it sounds. It's luisazhou.com/gift. So it's LUISAZ as in zebra, HOU.com/gift. And the other place to connect with me, I know we talked about Instagram, which I'm really loving lately and I'm really enjoying, is my Instagram. So it's super simple. It's just luisa.zhou.
Perfect. Thanks so much for coming today. I hope everybody got a lot out of it. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast because we always have fantastic guests just like Luisa that teach you how to grow your business, be inspired and motivated. So we'll see you next time. And if you're looking to publish your book, contact us at Elite Online Publishing and we'll get it done. Thanks.
Bye.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.